like, gentlemen, to read a comment from Eddie Okech, who's a senatorial aspirant. He's a politician in this country. So send me two SMSs, and I'd like to read one for Mark. Mark, Eddie says, you should contextualize the conversation. The handshake came from a disputed election. They claim that the election was stolen. The fact that Kenya, you have to vote, but it doesn't count. So sensibly, BBI should have been a 9 agenda issue, but a single, should have not been 9, but a single issue. Then he also says that, first of all, first the reality that the BBI in whichever form is represented will succeed, because majority of Kenyans chose long ago to be slaves to the dynastic political class. Secondly, BBI was and still is presented to Kenyans in a place where Kenyans have not created an alternative to the BBI, and thus it leaves the country vulnerable to self-seeking political leaders to basically manipulate the population into their selfish political goals.
And Ken, that's my worry. What the gentleman has said, that is my worry. And I've kept, repeating this. I'm already sounding like a broken record. If we allow politicians to run with this document, then we have ourselves to blame. So we should never give them room. Let it be a Wanjiko-driven process. And when I say this, I'm still talking. You see, yes, the document will come. You see, Ken, even many people, many Kenyans still don't understand that once BBI, once the report is ready, it will be given to the president. It will be made public. And then we will have a conversation on that report. Then giving the report to the president is not a final document. Ken, I want you to understand that. It's not that you're giving in a report to the president with boom, it's effected. No. Up until when the document is made available and when it becomes public. But that's what you expect. I mean, are you saying?
Just tell me under what arrangement is it given to Kenyans?
The report must either go through popular initiative or through parliament. All right? It's not a document that just comes boom.
Really? Gabriel, let me take you back. Please, let me take you back. There is no...
Ken, what do you expect with BBI when it comes out? You just want it to be plastered in law?
I don't understand, because I don't even know what it's about.
No.
But
let's have some clarity here.
I want Muduma to answer this question.
Yes.
One, when BBI, there was no foundation in law that created the BBI team, right? How do you expect to subject it into a legal process?
Of course, that's where it will head.
That's what I want to learn.
That's what I can guarantee.
That's how what I want to learn.
It will actually follow, and this is my own view, and I stand corrected. I think it will follow the staged process of creating any document that we've had in the past. Same thing of how you saw Punguza Mzigo being introduced. I believe that.
But that was converted into a bill. There's a procedure for that.
That's what I'm telling you. Even with the BBI, there's going to be a procedure to it.
Which is,
and that's what we have to wait and see. Once it's
really, so we're working at a document that we don't even know what follows and the legal framework.
Do you know, Ken, where the problem is right now?
Yes.
Many Kenyans still think and still believe that this document was still, despite the fact that it may look true, was authored by 2 people. Right? That is what is still, engraved in the mindset of so many Kenyans. And up to very recent, even the people that I know very close to were thinking the very same thing. So what me and you expect is that once the report comes out,
it goes to the president.
I mean,
then the president
sends it to parliament.
Sends it to parliament.
Guys.
Under what framework? Bichate, hold your thought. Hold your thought, Bichate.
That is where the conversation will be.
Hold your thought, gentlemen. I want you to speak to Edwin Sang from... Edwin Sang is from Eldoret, right? From Eldoret. Edwin, what's your contribution to the show tonight?
Okay, thank you. So
Proceed.
The question is that, how many times are we going to implement the law so that we can be satisfied as Kenyan?
Okay.
Okay, might be we have undergone the constitution for 2 times. But the first time, we are in the first from the colony. We are the young for the new constitution. We are here for now for the BBI. How many times we are going to finish it for that as we are satisfied as a Kenyan?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sang. And finally, Julian Wahome from Kisumu. Gian Wahome from Kisumu. What's your point on the show tonight?
Hello.
Hello, proceed, Wahome.
Hi, Ken.
Hi.
Hi. Now, let me begin with a quote by Martin Luther King Jr., when he said that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. And I want to say that the problem with this country is not the Constitution. The Constitution is very clear. The problem that we are having in this country, we have refused to implement the Constitution. We have a Chapter 6 that is very clear, but we have deliberately refused to adhere to it.
Okay.
Now, Ken, today I'll speak on what it really matters. Today we are not having a conversation that corrupt people have united against themselves to constitute a force. And we must have also a conversation that the honest people of this country must also constitute a force to counter this. Because that is where we are having a problem.
Okay. All right. I think it's done. Thanks, John, and obviously.
So you've gotten my point.
Yes, I've gotten your point.
Subjected.
Yes.
The document will be subjected to a conversation.
Yes.
The document will be subjected to a debate. I mean, it's not something that, you know,
To be taken.
that will come and be plastered. This is
the legal basis for this, but I'll come to you, and Mark seems to know, but Madiba.
Probably at this level,
Yes.
we should be allowed to speculate.
Okay. What follows the process
exactly? What follows and what goes ahead and what we expect, and probably also prepare ourselves.
Yes.
We cannot be herded like sheep that wait until we will come and tell you. First of all, Ken, it's important to say that BBI was not all inclusive. For one, young people had to form themselves into a caucus to go and lobby and be told, now you are BBI youth at this particular level. It didn't also consider women very well. It was not very inclusive. That bit we must not forget, because the process determines the outcome. It didn't start off well, even in the composition. Like, for example, you want to make this country for posterity, and you're setting aside young people.
There's no young people in that panel?
The original list, as gazetted from that particular document they made, has no single, even one bad young person. Even a bad one. We will say he's a bad one, but one of us.
Okay.
There is not even one. And when we raised our voices, they told us, as in, it's not important. These things are about the people who know. So you want to make a nation for us, without us. And you think we will expect and just take that around that. That bit, around the process, we must say these things. Sometimes when we speak up, we are told, shut up. You know, so long as the outcome is good,
Yes.
there's nothing for us without us.
Okay.
That must go out very, very clear. The other thing is that BBI sounds like Agenda 4 of the National Accord. Largely, it means that we had that process in the National Accord. That is Agenda 4. Again, we are revisiting Agenda 4. What stopped Agenda 4 from being implemented and worked on when it actually was brought into the Constitution? So far from where we are, there is only one thing that we lack, and that is goodwill.
Goodwill.
Ken, if this thing we call BBI will ensure that people get education, all of us are waiting for it. If this BBI will ensure that the economy that has tanked for the last 6 years gets working again, all of us will actually welcome it. If it's about education, if it's about putting food on the table of Kenyans, if it's about Article 43 and Article 10, we will, at any particular corner, embrace it. But we are not going to be sitting here and people are telling us that for the nation to move ahead, we must get certain people or create certain... We are already being told, and you know, in this country, unless we are children, but we are old enough to know that when something is being said from certain political platforms, it is engineering us to actually start preparing that we need some 5 positions to have the 5 tribes actually taken care of. What if in the next 5-10 years after the census, the data comes out, and those particular tribes we're thinking about are not in control? They're not the biggest.
Yes.
So
what happens?
Can we build a nation? And you see, Ken, let us honestly, you know, in this country, political expediency is actually more important than being honest to the national interest. What does the nation really need? It doesn't need any of those things that they're talking about. Companies are closing. No one is speaking about that, but we are being told, hold on.
Speak about it.
No, hold on, Ken, hold on.
Makers. Okay.
We are being told that when BBI comes, it will take care of everything. It actually has turned out like aloe vera or weed. You are told that it heals everything.
Everything.
It
BBI is not
treats
a magic
everything.
bullet, eh?
It's a magic
I
bullet.
really would like to live in the country he lives in, because I do not remember any time where BBI was touted as the cure all and end all of all our problems. I do not.
Really?
Mark, hold,
let me
Mark, we
finish.
have to take you back. You can't finish. When they say cohesion, bringing the country together, what are they talking about?
But let me ask you a question.
That's our problem in this country.
If it's-
ethnicity.
But no, listen. He said that it will cure everything. That's what he said, and that's what
Mark
I'm
and
correcting. BBI.
Mark and I do TV literally every week. And I know he has heard this thing. That shida zote zenye tuko nazo BBI ikikuja ni kama Yesu
tell you.
Kristo
Okay.
wokovu wa watu. This
I
cannot be allowed to
I would
pass.
like to know
Yes, ma'am.
who that is. But let's understand a few
said that?
things.
Okay.
All right. But number one, what does it take to have a successful economy?
BBI.
Business has to be predictable. What has made business unpredictable? Corruption. Corruption is not fought only by laws. It's not only fought by taking people to court. It has to be fought by people changing how they think about their country. Any person who's driving their Range Rover and takes a cup of yogurt and throws it outside the window, isn't that person corrupt? Isn't that corrupting your country? Now, which law will stop that guy? Will we put a police officer in his car to make sure he never does that? To address that, we need to address the question of his heart. And that's where BBI comes in. Now, we need to understand that the president is not saying that he's addressing this country's issues only by BBI. No. Where is he going to? He's going to Russia. To do what? To negotiate trade. Is that part of BBI? No. And we need to understand that these things are not happening in isolation. And as a country, and you know, it's the same problem we have in this country, where we say that, oh, the SGR will never make profit.
Are we
So
going to
let's-
Is it
SGR already?
making?
No, let me give an
Is it
example.
making?
Can I finish my
Because
statement?
SGR is a
It was to
separate
break
discussion.
even last December. Has it broken even?
Can I say what I'm saying?
Maliba. Maliba.
Please,
Yes?
please.
Because, let me ask a question. All of us live at the end of a road. And I am sure your house is not a factory. How much profit is the county government and the national government making from the road to your house? Since when do governments build infrastructure for profit? Is SGR a business? SGR Incorporated Limited Kenya? No. The truth of the matter is this, that we build infrastructure, number one, to ease the life of Kenyans, to ease the ease of to make it easy to do business. We also build infrastructure to reduce debts. And newsflash, every person who did not die on the Nairobi-Mombasa highway for the last 3 years, okay, because they were on SGR, which for the last 3 years is accident-free, is a life worth saving. So we cannot say that the road that we built to Moyale and Northeastern, when is it going to pay back? The road to your grandmother's house, when is it going to pay back?
We were not told that those roads will pay back.
No,
But
listen.
we were told SGR
Let's
will
be
pay
clear.
back.
We do not build infrastructure to make profit. You are a logical
Mark,
human
we are
being.
talking
and-
about what the
Can-
government
can-
said.
can I-
Are you the government?
Can I
When
tell
did
you?
we
When-
change
when
from
are you-
BBI to
No,
SGR?
It's okay. Mark
because
has
it's
gone
the
there.
same,
It's
because it's the
important
same
that we talk
thinking.
about that.
It's the same thinking.
Okay.
It's a thinking where you are given
So
a
we are back to
solution
SGR.
So,
and you
so
create a
Mark is
problem.
contradicting the government. This
When
is the
do I
government.
work for
the
the-
deputy
am I
president
so-
of this country said SGR will break even by December. You are now saying
Mark,
it
Mark,
doesn't need to.
If he wakes up tomorrow and says the sky is green, I
Maliba,
must
Well,
agree.
we will
with
take-
him.
we will-
Maliba,
we will take one of
Maliba,
him.
Maliba, a
Yes.
lot of things that have been said by the deputy president, most of them
So
have
why
not come.
why is Mark
So let's
Mark
not
now
talk about
saying
we can't
When-
go
when
into
you're
that.
not
that we
allowed
should
to
not
have a
we should
brain.
not ask them? No, we are asking questions
But a lot
based
of
on
things
what
have been said. All right, I am.
Are you saying-
I didn't finish
Mark,
my statement.
yes, Mark.
Let me say, this is the problem. We need to apply logic to what we disagree with. You cannot disagree
But
with
this cannot be the
SGR
logic upon
based
which
on, no,
we
because-
will
no,
settle
Can we
our
allow
problems.
him to hear his logic? Then we come back
It
to you,
is
Maliba.
not, no, he should tell me where in the world government invests in infrastructure for profit. It does not work. And the truth
But
of the
no,
matter
no, no.
is,
Now
You
I
are
get
saying
him. What
the
if the
deputy
government
president
tells you that?
did he
What if
lie?
the government says that? What if the government tells you that?
let me tell
Mark.
you.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
Yes, tell us.
If William Ruto and the president had the power to say things and then they become real. Then let them say tomorrow the sun will be black.
No,
so
no,
it
no,
comes
no.
out
You're
black.
splitting hairs.
No, I'm not splitting hairs.
Be honest with us,
I'm
man.
being very honest.
Be honest with
That's
us.
what I'm saying.
You're not
Listen,
being honest.
You're not.
if they
You're not
say
even
that-
being yourself.
If they say that, I'm saying categorically here, they were wrong. Because you cannot build infrastructure to say that it's going to be for profit.
Especially, what if you borrow the money because you need to pay back?
No, but we borrow. We borrow all the time. The roads that we've built, are we paying cash for them or are they borrowed? Ngong Road today, is it borrowed money or is it our money? It's borrowed
Understandable.
money. So the people who live in Karen, are they telling us how
Mark,
much cargo is passing on that road?
you've gone out of tangent completely. Wait, Mark, you've gone out of tangent. What you said initially has changed because this is about the government building infrastructure and standing to tell Kenyans it will break even.
No, but
So we
let me
have to
tell
wait
you.
for it. All these roads that you're
Infrastructure
mentioning
does
do
not
not
break
happen.
even.
But why did the government say it? Because we're stupid, we should understand what the government says and swallow it, hook, line and sinker.
Let's be honest. I think you can have the best, of thought. You can bring people in, people can sit down and give you projections. We work with projections, and half of the time you'll never hit those projections. Well,
Then why do you have to tell us about
but
them?
you can't live without projections. In fact, that's the basic.
Why don't you
see,
tell us about
that's
Ngong Road?
actually the basic tenet of building a business plan. You work with projections. Anywhere you go, But let me tell you, forget about breaking even. You need to look at the SGR wholly.
Okay.
No, you need to look at it wholly because this is another conversation I think people have taken.
No, you're going to SGR. All right, before you go to SGR, let's play these sound bites from President Uhuru Kenyatta and the rest. Mr. Kaluku.
I've already approved 6.9 billion for the development of the inland container depot, railway marshalling yard, and logistic zones, which are expected to be completed by the end of this year to facilitate the handling of cargo. My Mahio Suswa is not nowhere. This is Kenya. Na tumekuja ku launch the new Lunatic Express. But we are clear in our vision that we are going somewhere.
That's the most confident face I've seen, The president talks and he's smiling about it. It's the most important. But even as we talk about this, we encourage that if you want to contribute, especially this infrastructure development topic, you can still call in. The phone lines will be on your screen shortly.
Let me teach all of you something. Probably you may know this or you may not know this. Do you know, by the way, when you talk about SGR, 55% of the global goods are carried on SGR, 55%, not even human beings. Okay? So I'm teaching you this. Ken, you should stop reading. You should listen. This is serious stuff because you'll be talking about it tomorrow.
Not so sure you told us you have to confirm.
So the 55, what I'm telling you is
Yes.
the SGR being an economic enabler may actually take many years before we break even. You know why? This is what you call projects that are there that will take a long time because they allow me and you to trade on them so
Gabriel.
government can make money on
Acceptable,
it. So it is
Gabriel.
a very same thing. By the way, just pipe the SGR like any other thing the government can do in terms of schools. When the government is building schools, you don't expect immediate profit. All these projects,
but
immediate
that's no profit.
How
are
much
very
profit is a classroom
exactly
in Kibera going to make
delayed
this country?
gratification,
A
and
lot
we need
of
to
it.
understand. We need to
A
understand
lot.
about that.
When you talk about the human resource.
Arnold,
Exactly.
listen,
It's not
Arnold.
breaking even in money.
No,
Arnold,
we are talking about
I
what
need
the
your
government
attention.
said.
I
Why are you guys
need
speaking for
your
the
attention.
government?
I need your attention to
Okay,
the
Gabriel
I'm
is
not
still
speaking-
teaching
I'm
us.
not speaking on
Arnold?
behalf of
Yeah.
government. I'm just telling you
He's
facts.
still on the
Listen,
basics and we know that.
I'm telling
waiting
you,
for the newer
it's
point.
not about speaking for the government. These are facts. If you look at your neighbor, Rwanda, Ethiopia, these guys are conducting serious, heavy infrastructure development. You know why? Because the 21st century actually demands so. China, when they're talking about the old Silk Road, by 2027, they'll have spent, Ken Mijungu, they'll spend 1.7 trillion US dollars. Where are these things going? We are talking about interconnecting no longer cities, but countries, nations. You cannot afford to be left behind. So when I sit and hear people say, oh, we are putting massive infrastructure, I don't know we are doing what. This key economic, it's about the economy of a nation. Ken, more than anything else, it is to resuscitate industries. And I can guarantee you, if we are going to have this SGR go, you will see industries will pop everywhere. We just need to give it goodwill. But then, you know, we've become a nation that we are so doomy nowadays. And everybody is just gloomy. Oh, no, that if we can control, yes, you know, sometimes, yes, we talk about debt, and you see, when you look at the people's faces, you can see amorousness that comes in. But if we can manage this debt.
Do you think we're okay with the debt, national debt? We're okay?
You see, well, first of all, let me tell you about the national. Until the people who I think matters cry out foul, the IMF
Who are
and
those? The people who matter, IMF,
the
the
World Bank and all those guys.
The
All right?
people we already said,
and
they actually downgraded us the other day.
No. What they are concerned about is how we use the debt. And by the way, personally, I'm concerned about when it comes to accountability. All right? But you see, this is just.
Have you ever heard of the word a white elephant in your life?
You can't. You know, by the way, when they were doing Thika Road, that's what we were told. You remember? It was the same conversation, Mark. If you were here, they were saying, why are you building such a big road? Where is it going? Look at the kind of economy that has been created.
It was
you know what?
You asked me. Whom he mentioned,
do you know?
Are actually murmuring and saying that
can I shock you? Can I shock you?
How we are doing things here, but the problem has not been about that infrastructure.
You see, when you're talking about a road like that, when you're talking about a road like that, what I need you to tell me, because I know where the cost is coming in, and I've been concerned, just like you, Arnold Madiba. No. I've been concerned about. Let me tell you, I've been concerned about. Every time you're talking about building a road, my concern has been the land. And even right now, as we are talking about this road to where do you call it? To
Mombasa. Nowhere.
No, to Mombasa.
Okay.
The issue has always been the expressway. The issue is land compensation. Because you know why? Many people saw that as a conduit to steal. We only needed to be honest. By the way, we are stealing from ourselves. You're stealing from this pocket, putting it on this pocket. You are stealing on ourselves.
No, we are not stealing
because
from ourselves.
Because if this road came out...
A few people are stealing from us.
Well, you
do not call all Kenyans thieves. A few select individuals are doing the business of thieving.
Let me tell you. You see, when I say we are stealing from ourselves, all right?
Yeah.
Is because when it comes time to call these people out, we are the first ones to run and say, wachana na huyu mtu wetu.
No, we don't.
When, listen, just now, you are...
No, we don't.
No.
Watu wanashikwa, and we are so happy.
So you are agreeing people are being caught. Just a while ago, you are saying there's nothing that was happening.
No, that's why I said our concern with the infrastructure is the costing. You want to blame land.
But that has been the problem, Arnold. You cannot run away from that.
It's true. The land equation, especially in Nairobi, is inverted. I wanted to ask you a question.
Right.
When was Thika Road completed?
Sometime back.
2009, 2008.
How much did it cost us?
Yes.
Well, a rough estimate, you have the figure.
No. What I'm saying is that things have changed drastically under Jubilee, and we must accept it. That we are costing things much way higher. And if we do not speak about that, we are supposed to be here and talk about how infrastructure is good. Everybody knows that. That is logic. What we are talking about is corruption. And we know that in this country,
Madiba, you shared my point. That is what I've told you. The concerns that you have are the very same concerns that I have.
If BBI will take care of that, then Mark, you and I will actually be on the same side.
That's what I'm saying. Corruption is one of the things they need to talk about. And by the way, I'll have a serious problem with the BBI report if it does not address these issues. Let me address something.
You're coming home. Thank you.
I have a big problem with this idea of a railway to nowhere. And let me remind Kenyans, I am one of those people who takes every 2 months, I take a trip to the nowheres of this country, to a village called Napelenyi in the middle of Baringo, which has never seen an electricity line, a telephone line, even network from Safaricom and Orange, they've never seen.
And there are people there.
Now, you want to tell me that that's just because the people of Maimahiu do not drive Range Rovers, it is nowhere. This is the kind of classism that Kenyans perpetuate all the time. Trains, infrastructure is not about wealthy people. This is why the classism we've exhibited in Nairobi, where we build highways and forget to build walkways, because those of us who drive are more important. When the road is to your house, it is not a road to nowhere. When the road is to your grandmother's house, who's privileged to have electricity, it is not a road to nowhere. But when the people of Maimahiu, who have been struggling to get their produce to market, who have struggled to be connected to that grid, finally have a chance, it is suddenly a railway to nowhere. Secondly, let's interrogate that logic. You want to tell me, therefore, landlocked countries should not have railways.
Are we
Because
landlocked?
for them,
Mark,
unless
Mark,
you're connecting sea,
I don't know where Mark is going with this. Because
Actually,
No.
Mark is heading
I
somewhere.
have
Let
a
me tell you,
problem.
Okay,
Mark
let-
is
let-
heading
let
somewhere
him-
because
let him
we've
get
always
there.
said, we've always
Let him
said
get there.
that, and I've had people talk about a railway that's going nowhere. Let me tell you something, and it is a very good example to you.
I need to put
have
that
you ever
into
been,
context.
Have you, and that's
Of
what
nowhere.
I'm,
No,
I'm,
can
I'm
I put
trying,
it into context first?
Hang on a minute.
To know where it
Let
goes,
me
it
tell
has
you.
to
what
be
train
Let
goes
me
to
tell you.
Nanyuki?
Hang on a minute.
What train goes to Nanyuki?
Have you
Why
gone?
did you say it
Wait,
was
wait, wait.
Is there a railway?
Have you
Is
gone
there a
on
railway
your
in
way?
Nanyuki?
Hang on a minute. Have you gone on your way to Mariakani? Yeah, just here on South B. And by somewhere you pass a railway that's never used going somewhere. Have you ever asked yourself where that meter gauge was going? Have you ever asked yourself?
That's why I asked you.
No.
What train
Where
goes to
was it
Nanyuki?
going? Just the fact that you do not see any activity, it tells you that it was going nowhere. This
Have you been
was
to
the
industrial area?
industrial. Listen,
Have you been to industrial area?
you know,
The
industrial
railway-
area was a network for the meter
The
gauge.
railway
It is
was
because,
worked
wait,
through and
let
through.
me tell you.
Why
it
is
is
it not
because
going
it
there?
was going to the arteries of those industries.
Why is it
So
not going there?
What we should be asking is, things have changed. All right?
So
things have changed. And
oh,
they've changed drastically.
Okay, gentlemen,
Right?
I need to
as
cut,
much as
I need to
we
cut
keep
this
talking,
conversation
You
just
know-
briefly. Maliba, I'm coming back to you. So let me speak to the callers because the show tonight was meant for your voice to be heard. Jacob Shamala from Nairobi, talk to us. From Kakamega, Jacob, talk to us. What's your contribution?
Thank you, Ken. My contribution is I'm proud listening to you and TV. I'm happy with the discussion. And I want to contribute on the SGR. Any economy to grow, it needs infrastructure development. So I want the panelists to understand, especially Mr. Malima or Malipa, that without improving infrastructure, the country's economy cannot move on. So the His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta has decided to invest in SGR so that it is a public good. You may not see the result now, but later, after some time, it will impact on the economy, and our youth will get employment. So if we start acting of SGR and the roads or the like, we need to put in mind that for any economy to grow, it needs infrastructure development. And
Okay.
His Excellency the President has tried to invest in this so that our youth may not hang the way Pichake is saying. We may have great employment for our people. And therefore, I want to concur with the panelists who are for the SGR that this is for the future profit and it's a public good.
Right.
You may not get profit now.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just to
Thank
add
you.
on what he's saying,
Just
on
one more
quickly.
phone call, then you add. Aaron Makana from Nairobi is also online. Aaron, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Ken. I'm Aaron Makana from Nairobi.
Proceed.
I have my contribution on the SGR. The problem, I think, the Kenyan SGR is that part of the cost.
Okay. The cost.
Because if you compare the cost of SGR of Kenya, for example, for the Ethiopian one, others from South Africa, people say that the Kenyan cost is high. So my question to the panel is, can you please educate Kenyans into pieces? Can you tell the Kenyans how or why the Kenyan SGR is expensive than the Ethiopian one and the rest of the world, so that the honest Kenyan can understand what is the issue really? What's the issue really with the SGR of Kenya?
All right. Thanks.
Then number two,
Yes.
we cannot say that the SGR is going nowhere because it's coming from somewhere. So I think the problem of Kenya is just the corruption part that is hidden in the agenda. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Very pertinent. But there are things we have discussed. And even as you discussed, because I want you to put this into context so that Kenyans understand, Gabriel and Arnold. The dry port construction in Naivasha just began. We are in agreement. It's not yet done. The government has admitted that the contribution will therefore, the construction will incur losses at a time. There will be no freight right now because it's still under construction.
Correct.
Then the 4 passenger stations along that line are very close to each other. They don't make economic sense, right? And lack of funding from China, obviously, that has been stopped from that extension. It's also an issue to the government, right? So I want you to put that into context, even as you remember the cost and infrastructure is built for prosperity. the contribution from the callers.
So, Ken, this was actually my bit.
Okay.
But you need to go slow because we grew together. You know, we can simply bring
We come from one place with another.
our childhood rivalries. So, but I did. Number one, I never spoke about train to nowhere. Number two, I need to actually be very clear. I am not against infrastructure. I have been very consistent that the cost and the attendant corruption is what is making or bastardizing those projects. It's important that we actually set that out. We know that the SGR is actually going up to Kisumu, and as far as I know, there was funding and a commitment to that effect, that this funding up to Kisumu, it's not really lost on us to that extent. What I am actually very keen on is the cost, because we are ending up spending a lot of money and it hurts the economy very badly, and we are paying for it through our nose. In a country that has got about 20,000 people who should be paying taxes, only 4 million pay. Even as we look at this, we've already reviewed the law. Now we are raising the national debt ceiling from 6 trillion to 9 trillion. And every time that money comes in, people just find funny ways of dealing with it. We need infrastructure. That is not even something that we are arguing about. We are talking about the attendant corruption, the prioritization.
Correct.
Because SGR in itself is, in a way, everybody knew, and it was in Vision 2030. But there is a problem. I would have asked Mark if we are implementing MTP3 or we are implementing something we are calling Big 4, and if Big 4 is MTP3. If he answers that, then we probably will agree on a few things. So the whole idea here is that infrastructure is important, but we are not going about it the right way. The same
especially
people,
when it touches on the cost, right?
Especially when it gets to procurement, because our corruption...
Madiba, does it concern you that even the financing of these infrastructure projects is done through Chinese banks, Exim and the rest, right? And that money does not circulate into the economy fully because it has to go, the purchases and all. Very little of that money, 50 billion, like you asked about the amount of money that went into the construction of Thika Road. That was 5.8 billion. But look at these other ones. It's financed by the bank. They bring Chinese workers, technocrat, everyone. So the money basically circulates.
So Ken, I was actually setting the record straight.
Yes.
That,
but does it concern you?
Muduma, it concerns me.
Yes.
It concerns me. Muduma here and Mark here are actually very optimistic. They want to paint the positive side, and all of us want that positive bit because the people are tired of negative vibes and negative stories. Right. Unfortunately, the vibration center, the epicenter that speaks to us is not bringing anything positive. I know it's important to be hopeful and to be positive, but it's also important, and we have said this one time too many, that hope is not a viable strategy. We need to continuously speak the truth. The denialist stance and position, especially when we call out corruption, they want to tell us, look on the positive. When things are going wrong, they want to tell us, look on the positive. That is the problem. It is denialism. And it is denialism that has brought us here. Okay. Because when we spoke about IBC not being in proper shape, people said it is okay. Can you guys be just positive? What came out of it? And we have seen so many things. How many projects and how many billions have actually gone down the drain?
Okay. Mark, can I speak to Mark now? Then I come to you.
I was actually answering to him.
No, you should not answer.
No, I was answering
gentlemen,
to him. I was answering to him.
We need to listen to Mark. Then you will answer.
Clear?
Yes.
There's no one who in this country is blind to the fact that because of our bad ethos, we have a rampant corruption problem.
What are ethos, by the way? It's important that you speak about those.
English.
Please, no, define it.
Maliba, can we allow Mark?
I know. Ethos reportedly, as in repeatedly, and it's now actually like the Panacare.
Maliba, let him now finish.
Brother, I'll buy you a dictionary.
Nah. I don't need a dictionary.
Maliba, please.
Moving on.
Yes.
The truth is that one of the biggest problems we have in our infrastructure development is that there's a lot of corruption. It's not just infrastructure. It's in almost every purchase that the government does.
Yes.
And the reality of the matter is this, that if we are going to proceed forward as a country successfully, we need to look at certain things. The first thing we must look at is the process of procuring land, which is why it is my hope that the newly formed NLC Commission will have at least the humanity in them to make sure that we do the right thing.
Okay.
Because that is something that must happen. The second thing that must happen is we must all buy into what is the Kenyan dream. And we must go back to visit the questions of MTP3, which is talking about the Big Four agenda and Vision 2030. The biggest problem and why Kenyans keep arguing about projects is we do not have the long-term goals of our country in mind. Every Kenyan must consider that if Kenya is to begin to manufacture to the levels that we want, is it possible to do it without a proper standard train? Of course not. The truth of the matter also is this, that if we are going to export flowers at the rate we want to export those flowers, then how important is it to create a dry dock in Naivasha? You understand? If we understand these things, then we have a place to contextualize our arguments against government. And that does not bar us at any point from questioning, is this thing going to cost us less or more?
Well said.
You know what I told
well
you, and
said.
I agree with the two gentlemen, when
Yes.
I talked about the land, you know, the land issue. And I believe by far...
Is it the most expensive
I
part
think
of
that
the
it is. I think
constructions?
that it is, because,
It is the
because,
biggest
because
cost,
of two
okay.
things. First of all, we have the land cartels, this land speculation, right? We have the overpricing, and those are mere facts. Arnold, when I mentioned that, those are concerns, corruption, it's a major concern, and I'm concerned about it. When I told you that half of the time we are stealing from this pocket, putting into this, the people who are on these corridors, all right, are actually the first people who are sold this idea. You saw the issue on Kerarapon, where people, I mean, their houses were about 25 million, but they had, you know, worked something to be paid 120 something, and they were supposed to give these kinds of kickbacks. What people are not understanding is when you allow such things to happen, when you allow such things to take root, you are actually engaging these people and giving them the spirit to continue doing what they are doing in matters land. So this is a very big issue when it comes to serious, you know, things like building, you know, the SGR and the roads. Okay. Look for good examples. The road to Moyale. If you look at what we were being told, it used to take one bus per week before that road was constructed.
It's a constant.
Now, you're talking about 6 buses a day.
Okay.
What does that tell you? It is opening that area. Moyale today is becoming an economic hub. Those are the things you're talking
Gabriel,
about. By the way, Arnold, it's not about shooting or saying, you know,
Gabriel,
it looks good from the onset. We need, no. As much as we are talking about fighting and, you know, exhausting this ghost of corruption, we must also talk about the good stories.
Gabriel, your point is made. We are running out of time. I just want to read a tweet from Samuel Orutwa. He says, the old Kenya rail had the best infrastructure than the SGR, yet it was never maximally utilized. What must come first? Economic development to attack infrastructure and or infrastructure to attract economic development. I think we can develop without SGR, but SGR can't bring economic development. That's what he says. And Arnold, I'm just reminded here by my producer, that's what he says. I know. It's a way of looking at it. Rosalia reminds me that actually the government's position is that there's no funding up to Kisumu. The government has resorted to facelifting the meter gauge in the time to feed the SGR in Naivasha.
And we've gotten money for that facelifting.
Yes, but not SGR to Kisumu. So I think that correction or clarification was necessary. Gentlemen, I'll give you an opportunity to end because we are out of time. But I'd like you to take a look at the cartoon of the week because you'll be surprised it relates to our topic. Let's take a look at this cartoon. It will be on the screens right behind us. Right, that's the cartoon of the week. Could I have much more of the cartoon on the other screens? That's the map of Kenya. Looking into the pocket is right behind me also, Madiba, if you could say it. And the question is, any Shylock in the house? Let me begin with who? Then as we have a moment to close. Mark, let me begin with you. That cartoon.
Well, there's something that I'm personally passionate about, and that's the ability to count our blessings as we count our problems. The problem with this country is to every solution, there is a problem. Is Kenya broke? My friend, visit Argentina, you would know what broke is.
No, talk to us about Kenya.
Visit Venezuela.
Talk to us about Kenya. Talk to us about what we know. Talk to us about,
Kenya
yes,
has problems. And it has problems that are not just for the political class to solve. It has problems for every Kenyan to step up and solve. And the first thing that we must solve is we must find the hope for a better tomorrow in our country. If we have hope for a better tomorrow, then we will vote for leaders who feed into that hope, leaders who actually actualize that hope. If you look at the kind of caliber of people that were voted in, prison prefects and the like, you can tell that the people who voted had given up on hope. They had no hope for their county, and therefore...
What if that was their hope, Mark?
It was not. And the truth...
How do you know it was not their hope?
I know it was not because the guy has not behaved any different from how he was behaving.
But it doesn't
before.
mean he wasn't the hope of the voters. They can challenge you on that because they voted for him.
You gave me a minute.
Yes.
So let me tell you this. This country needs a change of heart. The only way we change heart is begin to count our blessings and begin to count what is wrong and begin to fix it.
We should be optimistic in other words.
Endless bickering will not help us
all right.
at all.
That's on the cartoon. Madiba.
Clearly speaking about the situation we are in as a country, that we are broke. Suppliers have not been paid. Civil servants in...
Begin with money has not been released for development.
Money has...
Before you talk about supplies. Yes.
We do not have money, and I actually saw that the government is actually borrowing locally about 60 billion, 62 billion. That was yesterday. As in, we are looking for every available source to take away money. And one of those things that you really want to speak to, and I know we don't want to actually look at government in the eye and tell government that this is not where we want to be. We are broke as a nation. Things are getting... If you realize, and people who do business will tell you, that in the last 2 weeks, liquidity, it's been so hard. There is just no money. Immediately, and of course, people will blame it on the mopping up of the old notes and stuff, but there's literally no money. Government is not paying people, no development money, and you know that government has got quite a big chunk on how cash goes around. So this cartoon really didn't take so much brain to look at it. Yes, it's rather straight that as a country, we are broke.
Okay.
And seriously broke.
Based on which metrics?
You know, very quickly,
everything.
Based on the IMF, World Bank,
number one.
Or your own pockets,
easy, number one.
Your friends.
Number one, that we are lifting the borrowing ceiling from 6 trillion to 9 says it's actually a confession that we have nothing more. We need a higher ceiling.
When you take a loan to buy a car, you take it because you're broke.
Yeah. What is being broke?
So when
you use money that you do not have money, when you do not have money, I actually do not understand what kind of econometrics you're speaking about or what you are dealing with. That you are using money, you use money you don't have.
No, does China borrow?
It actually lends.
No, does China borrow?
It actually lends.
China has a debt. I don't know how you don't know this.
It's not a matter of knowing where are we getting our money.
We are borrowing.
From where?
From China, from the United States, from Europe. We borrow many places.
So they get money, they lease to us, we pay at a higher interest, and you want to equate ourselves to them.
No, but they borrow.
The point is that as a country,
Japan,
we are broke.
3 times
we are broke.
of its GDP.
Mark
is in debt.
Mark loves a denialist stance.
It's not denial.
You are full of denial.
Which denial?
You love denialism.
Which
it's actually your
gentlemen,
religion.
we are out of time. I will cut you.
You see, they did not want me.
Yes, Madiba should talk about the cartoon. Are you done with your comment on the cartoon?
No, because
yes, I'm done with the cartoon.
You're done. All right,
just probably less than a minute.
Yes.
You see, when you look at that, and this probably awarded like many Kenyans to start, or all of us to start, getting acquainted to, is the delayed gratification. There has come a time when every time we hear talking about the government or anybody talk about big projects, immediately we talk about gratification. We want it now, there and then. And I think we've carried this conversation for far, far too long, until such a time when we are even trying to fight things like the SGRs and the roads that we are trying to build. This is what I think needs to be spread out, and something that can burn for years to come. Something that our children can actually be grateful for. I am not saying that we work away where we will burden them so much. No, I'm saying that as we talk about building these roads, we must also come up with solutions that are going to ensure that our debts are paid, that we do not overburden the future generations on it. And how do we do that? First of all, is actually exhausting this ghost of corruption. And I say this, Madiba, knowing fully well that this is a problem we have in this country. It is not something that we can overgloss and say, you know what, let's all go to sleep and we start singing Kumbaya. No, at some point, somebody must come out and say, we are going to fight corruption radically. The way Rwanda has done, the way China did, the way Japan, and the way the Asian tigers did it. Ken, if we are able to sort this matter of land compensation, I can guarantee you, we are going to cut a huge chunk from where this money is going. And if we are going to have Kenyans who are just going to start thinking about delayed gratification and understanding that, hang on a minute, This SGR may not carry me today, but the goods that it will carry, the domino effect will reach to my child years to come. I think we'll be on a great platform.
All right, gentlemen, we're out of time. I want to thank you for coming for the show. But before we end, and Arnold Madiba is not supposed to speak about it, let's take a look at who said what this week.
County is paying a shilling for the least equipment. I'm speaking to Kenyan Senator because you called me here.
But when you are lying to Kenyans, so we have to correct you instantly.
I am not lying to Kenyans.
That particular MOU, it was under duress, I can say, here. Especially me, I went for a funeral and I saw chiefs saying that I had refused to sign an MOU with the Ministry of Health, and that's why people are dying in Kakamega.